The Elizabeth Smart kidnapping in 2002 gripped the nation because it violated the sense of security all families hold dear. The 14-year-old girl was in her own bed at night with her parents at home and the door locked in a neighborhood where such invasions were unthinkable. Her younger sister watched and listened as the kidnapper entered the room and abducted the teen at knife point. A frantic nationwide search ensued. 9 months later, she was found, but it was not until today, more than 8 years later, that justice was finally served. And Mike Von Fremd has our report.
Justice for Elizabeth Smart.
Guilty in the kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart.
They did convict Brian David Mitchell on 2 counts of kidnapping.
It's a decision 8 years in the making. A trial that's gone on for 6 weeks and a verdict that took jurors only 5 hours to decide.
It's real.
The scene at the courthouse here in Salt Lake City, Utah was solemn, as this child abduction case, which has riveted the nation, has come one step closer to an ending.
Today is a wonderful day, and I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm so thrilled with the verdict.
Elizabeth, who was sitting in the front row with her family, smiled when the verdict was read. Today on the steps of the federal court, she was overjoyed.
I hope that not only is this an example that justice can be served in America, but that it is possible to move on after something terrible has happened.
But this poised, happy 23-year-old we see today is a far cry from the shy, shrouded 14-year-old girl who was kidnapped in her bedroom at knife point and went missing from her family for a terrifying 9 months.
The prayers of the world have brought Elizabeth home.
The road to this verdict has been arduous, and for a man who so many thought was guilty, Mitchell was able to avoid a verdict for 8 long years. From the start, Mitchell's defense argued that he was legally insane. He was twice declared mentally unfit to serve trial, and during the trial, the jury had become accustomed to his bizarre behavior.
After the first day of testimony, and the jurors returned to the jury room at the end of receiving testimony, not a single word was said, and there were 4 or 5 people visibly crying.
The thinly built, gray-haired Mitchell was routinely removed from the courtroom after loudly singing hymns and Christmas carols.
He said little things, you know, God just let him down. Why would God put him through all this? He hasn't said much about it. I am concerned for him, though, about how people are going to treat him now because this came in.
A few weeks ago, he suffered a seizure in court and had to be taken out on a stretcher. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Wellner was an expert witness for the prosecution, who helped convince the jury to hand down the guilty verdict given today.
You know, when you look at this case from 10,000 feet, you say to yourself, here's a guy in robes with a long beard who sings, and he breaks into a house in the middle of the night and just grabs this girl and goes up into the mountains. Well, that sounds crazy. It's certainly something that we can't relate to. And I think that Brian David Mitchell and his defense were very successful for years in advancing that notion.
Just 5 weeks ago, Elizabeth flew back from her Mormon mission in Paris to take the stand and recount her 9 months of hell. In a composed voice, Smart told the jury about what happened in the early morning hours of June 5th, 2002. I remember him saying, "I have a knife to your neck. Don't make a sound. Get out of bed and come with me, or I will kill you and your family."
When Elizabeth Smart stood in court and testified and said, "You will hear me. I will be heard. No matter what this verdict is, in my professional opinion, it is heroic."
Elizabeth said she was marched 3 miles to a canyon where Mitchell and his accomplice, Wanda Barzee, made her his wife, staging an impromptu wedding. She says she cried herself to sleep that night. When she woke up, there was a cable around her ankle that was tethered to a nearby tree. She would remain there for a month and a half. He forced me off the bucket and into the bed that they had, where he proceeded to force the robes off, where he raped me. I was forced to go into the tent and watch them have sexual intercourse. There was one particular moment Elizabeth remembered fighting back. I bit him. I bit his tongue as he was trying to kiss me, and I bit him. He pulled back and said if I ever did that again, he would never have sex with me again, and I'd be the most miserable woman in the world.
It's real. It's real.
When she was found alive after going missing for almost a year, everyone called it a miracle, but worried if she would ever psychologically recover. Mitchell's accomplice, Wanda Barzee, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for her role in the kidnapping. Mitchell's sentencing is set for May 25th, where he could face life in prison. Today, while the verdict was read, he began to sing hymns.
Thank you so much. I am excited to go back to France and complete my mission.
For the Smart family, the case was the end of an ordeal. Asked to describe the family's emotions, her mother, Lois, said one word came to mind: victorious.
There was another day that she used the word victorious, and that was when she came home. And I think this is an exceptionally victorious day for us all.
For Nightline, I'm Mike Von Fremd in Salt Lake City.